We're all good there in terms of sound. Mark Bailey, Minister for Transport Main Roads, here with Jason Hunt, Member for Caloundra. We all good to go? Okay, what we might do today is we're here at the magnificent site of the new Bells Creek Arterial Road. It's being built right behind me, and I'll cover that issue in just a moment. I'll start off with a few of the COVID numbers for the community. What we've seen overnight is nearly 10,000 new cases, so a significant number. We've now got more than 54,000 active COVID cases across Queensland, and sadly we've lost 18 people to COVID in the last 24 hours and 2 people to the flu. So there is still significant risk in our community, and we're seeing now 1,043 people in private or public hospital with either COVID or the flu. So big strain on our health system as we deal with this winter third wave. So I do remind people to do those sorts of things to minimise transmission risk. You know, social distance wherever you can, hand hygiene wherever you can, mask up if you're in those close environments with people indoors or public transport. Minimising the risk of transmission helps other people, and that's what we've got to do as a community. We're not quite through it yet. Let's keep focusing on the health and well-being of everybody in our community. That's a really important thing to do. I'm here at the Bells Creek Arterial on the Sunshine Coast, where this huge extension, a $70 million extension, happened because of the advocacy of the bloke behind me. Jason Hunt, our new member for Caloundra, got a commitment. He lobbied me and the government as a candidate before he was even an MP. He knew this community, he knew this road needed to happen sooner than what it was planned, and we brought it forward nearly a decade. And we're co-funding it, $35 million with Aura and the private developers to bring it forward much earlier. And we're seeing good progress on it. And behind me there's bridges, corridors being done. And what this project will mean, it's now 60% done, and what we'll see is it will, once it's open, it will mean a new southern access point to the Bruce Highway. It will definitely take a significant amount of traffic off Caloundra Road, particularly from people who live in this vicinity. We're seeing 20,000 new houses in this area alone, and we'll see a total of about 50,000. So this is a huge new community, master planned by Aura, and this road is absolutely a critical piece of infrastructure to relieve some of the pressure on Caloundra Road. I want to thank Jason Hunt. He loves this community. He's been in this community from day one as a child. He's seen it grow. He knows its needs, and this is the sort of forethought. This is the bigger vision. This is looking down the track from community leaders like Jason that we need. And I appreciate working with him as the Minister for Transport. It's a great achievement of his, and also of Aura, who work really closely with the Queensland Government. You know, governments need to partner with industry to understand what's going on the ground, and this is a great example of private developers that Aura working with the government, responding to the emerging needs. And we know the growth here on the Sunshine Coast is huge. The Mayor was telling us yesterday 30,000 new people on the Sunshine Coast in the last year or so. So we've got to build the infrastructure. That's what we're doing. And Jason.
Thank you very much. My favourite catchphrase about this road is that it's 8 kilometres of good news, and that has not changed. This is a fantastic piece of infrastructure, not just for what it does for obvious traffic relief, but for what it brings and for what it means. We are essentially moving Caloundra 15 minutes closer to Brisbane with the traffic relief that this road will bring. So if you are in Brisbane and you have some disposable income and you would like to dispose of it, when this road is finished, we'll be 15 minutes closer. So you can come up here and inject that cash into Caloundra, and I encourage you all to do that. It also means that it unlocks potential investment. So we know that there are projects that are absolutely champing at the bit for this road to be finished. And I've said recently in the media, if we could string 2 weeks of sunny days together in a row, that would be helpful. We know that there have been some delays with the road because, as everyone knows, we've had a prodigious amount of rain up here on the Sunshine Coast. That has pushed the timeline back. We are getting there. I know the developers are pulling out all the stops to try and get this done. And what it also means too is that it will deliver our emergency services precinct in this area. So we will essentially, the completion of this road will lead to a doubling of our emergency services capacity in Caloundra insofar as police, fire and ambulance goes. So again, the mighty, mighty Bells Creek Arterial Road just keeps delivering good news, even to the point where if you look over here, you'll see this thundering great bridge, which is so big and so mighty looking that everyone thinks it's for cars. It's not. That is for active transport. So that will connect the communities down here with the rest of Aura for active transport. And again, active transport is another solution to some of our traffic infrastructure issues that we're addressing and that this government is on the front foot in addressing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason. Fantastic. All right, any questions?
Yes, the LNP are saying that it's all a bit too late coming, that people rely on these roads to get to home. Hasn't been enough commitment to rail either. What's your response?
Oh, the LNP on the Sunshine Coast are the laziest group you would ever come across. They had a record majority when they were in power and they did zero for the Sunshine Coast. They didn't even get business cases underway for the Mooloolah River interchange or the rail upgrade. That was the Palaszczuk Labor government that had to do that because they were just too busy cutting the place to ribbons. So, you know, the LNP have got no credibility on infrastructure. They only ever cut. They don't invest in communities. Look at our investment in road and rail. It is nearly double the first year when we were in office 7 years ago, and they spent 3 years cutting away, sacking people and doing that sort of nonsense. So they've got no credibility. We're getting this done. There's been a few delays on it because, like every construction site, we've had relentless rain through a La Nina summer. But as you can see behind me, this is jobs. This is infrastructure. This is a new road that would never have happened, you know, if the LNP was still in power.
What would you say to the people relying on the roads, sitting in the traffic jams, waiting for it to happen? Has it been too late coming?
Look, I think the people on the Sunshine Coast can see a huge road program under the Palaszczuk Labor government, and this is a new addition to that. You know, Caloundra Road to Sunshine Motorway, massive project going, you know, is completed. People absolutely love that improvement right throughout that community near Aussie World and Caloundra Road. Then Mons Road, Maroochydore Road upgrade, $300 million there near the Nambour Access Road, and that is just a phenomenal project. That's going very, very well. We're designing now the Mooloolah River interchange, so there's 320 million more coming there. We've done smaller projects like Ridgewood Road that Jason's advocated for. This is a new one that's going to come online middle of next year. Things are really rolling on the Sunshine Coast. A $3 billion commitment over 4 years from us. It's a record level of investment, and it dwarfs the tiny and pathetic attempts to build infrastructure by the LNP when they were in power, who were only, you know, busy cutting everything, you know, when they had the chance.
And Minister, Jason mentioned that the wet weather's caused significant delays. When was this project set to be finished, and how big a delay now? What are we talking about?
Yeah, look, construction projects right across the country, including in Queensland, have been delayed by relentless rain over summer, and now continuing. We've got another 3 or 4 day rain bomb coming our way, and you just can't set concrete when the place has you know, got a lot of water. You've got to pump it out, and then it rains again, you've got to pump it out. You know, it's just been frustrating for not just road projects, but private building construction sites. Everywhere's had the same issue. But we are determined to finish it off, and it is running about 6 months late. That's just unavoidable. We can't change the weather and the climate. But the determination of the workers here, the quality of the work is, you know, is absolutely top shelf, and I thank them for all their work. The fact is, Jason Hunt got this commitment when he was not even the MP. You know, that shows you, it just shows you how effective he is, and having this new access to the Bruce Highway, we'll see a lot of people won't need to use Caloundra Road anymore. They'll be able to duck south on the Bells Creek Arterial, and they'll save themselves about 10 or 15 minutes. But you'll also see a whole lot of those cars not even on Caloundra Road anymore when they've got to go south. That's something that everybody is going to really enjoy.
So about a 6-month delay, what date are we talking at, hopefully, for the completion date?
Yeah, so look, we're looking at a full completion. Look, this is a huge project, $70 million project. We're looking at completion in the middle of next year. So we're getting it done as quickly as we possibly can. But I think everybody knows that the relentless La Nina rain means that any outdoor activities are going to be affected. That's just inevitable. But this is a fantastic project, and it will be completed middle of next year, and it'll be a great celebration, not just for the people who live in the Aura community, but everyone who lives on the southern Sunshine Coast will benefit from this road and this infrastructure.
A couple of COVID questions as well. Given we now have a record number of people in hospital and the peak is still a matter of weeks away, is it time to reinstate restrictions like mask mandates?
Look, we've been one of the most effective jurisdictions in the world here in Queensland because we've listened to and acted on health advice. It hasn't always been popular. Not everybody has liked that. And it's been frustrating sometimes, but it's been effective. We'll keep doing that. There's no advice to that effect at this point. So we'll just keep doing the things that have been effective in terms of managing the pandemic. You know, it's changed at various times, so you've got to cut the cloth to suit the circumstance. And that's what we've always done throughout the pandemic. And it's a matter of, listening and acting on health advice, and we'll continue to do that.
Is the government thinking of any way to improve vaccinations for young people, immunisation clinics at school perhaps, or trying to encourage more parents to have children vaccinated?
Yeah, look, we've certainly had a lot of children vaccinated right across the state, and not just children but also adults. We have got, by world standards, very high vaccination rates. We do encourage people who haven't got their boosters to get out there and get them. It does make a difference and does reduce your risk, inevitably when most people will get COVID. So there are still people who haven't had their third booster, and other people are now eligible for their fourth booster. So I do encourage people, don't be complacent. Get your booster if you haven't had it already. And, obviously there is vaccination available there for children. If you haven't had your kids vaccinated, certainly encourage that to happen.
And Minister, the Auditor General found that only $7 billion of $17 billion allocated for COVID economic recovery has been spent. Why is that?
Well, what we've seen is that when the COVID pandemic hit in early 2020, I think there was an assumption that we would have a very dire and deep dive in terms of the economy, and the fact is that we've been much more successful in suppressing the virus than we first feared. The things like closing the borders when people weren't vaccinated, discouraging movement, using masks, all those sorts of things have been incredibly successful. So what we've seen is the impact on the economy has been a lot less than was first estimated. So I don't think anybody would think that the economy has suffered because all that money didn't go out. The issue in the economy at the moment is there's just too much activity going on. The previous Morrison government spent money like drunken sailors, and so we're seeing the level of activity at an all-time high in the economy. Job vacancies are really hard to fill because haven't got enough workers. So I think you've got to make a judgment in terms of the circumstance, and the reality is we thought we'd be in a big 6-month dive into the economy in terms of activity stopping, and reality was it was more like two or so months before we sort of started coming out of that. So I think that's appropriate.
Minister, just a couple of questions on the Ipswich Council. The RTI documents now detail that the CCC findings on a trip taken by then Ipswich councillors, Paul Palaszczuk and Paul Tully, and 2 council officers that the CCC said appeared excessive. There was thousands spent on fancy hotels, private jets around Europe, and so on. Is it appropriate that Paul Tully remains on the Ipswich Council?
Well, look,
is the state government considering any action?
The state Palaszczuk government sacked the Ipswich Council. We were very tough on them, and for good reason. I think Paul Tully's got some very serious questions to answer about what he did on the ratepayers' dime in Ipswich. I saw him dodging and weaving, like a boxer last night when the media had him asking questions. But I saw the report. There's some very indefensible behaviour that was going on in the previous council. I think he needs to articulate to what extent he was involved in that, and if he has been involved in a lot of these sorts of things, he should confess up and be honest about it.
Joanne Miller wants the state government to enact legislation to have the 4 of them repay the money to taxpayers. Would the government consider that?
Look, I don't have a particular view on that. I think the money that's been misused by the now sacked Ipswich Council is a travesty. You're a city council. You should be looking after roads, rates, rubbish, looking after the people of Ipswich, and Paul Palaszczuk and his team certainly were not doing that. I think that's a real worry. Whether that's recoverable or not, I don't really know. That would be a matter for assessments, but I think the kind of behaviour that was exposed last night was absolutely indefensible, and I think Mr Tully certainly has got more questions to answer.
This goes back to 2012. Should the details been released by the government earlier?
Look, that's a matter probably for the other minister, but we sacked that council. There's nothing more a severe action that we could have done. The Minister Hinchliffe sacked the Ipswich City Council for a whole range of reasons, but that was certainly one of them, it seems, and that's appropriate. They lost their jobs because they had no respect for Ipswich ratepayers, and I think that's an appropriate and tough action that we took, and I support it 100%.
Well, just a quick one then, Minister, about social housing. We know that the situation is dire and people are desperate. What emergency relief can the government offer?
Yeah, look, we've got substantial commitments. We're spending over $130 odd million in terms of helping people at homelessness risk, high risk, working with different organisations. I think more than 80 different housing organisations across the state. I think there's 100 who provide more than 170 different services. So we've got the biggest ever commitment to social housing of any state government in history. $2.9 billion commitment. We've built now more than 4,000 houses since we were elected, and we've got another several thousand in the pipeline right now that are in the process of being built. We saw a federal government under Scott Morrison and other Prime Ministers who were not interested in this space withdrew from this space, cut funding to the states, which was incredibly regrettable. Hopefully with the new Anthony Albanese federal Labor government, we can have some discussions with them about a better approach in terms of working federal-state together on this, but our commitment from a state point of view has been substantial, and that compares very favourably to the previous LNP Newman government, where they cut social housing. They actually cut it by 428 houses over 3 years. So whatever they might say in opposition, we know when they get in power they cut social housing because they don't believe in it. They actually cut it by the social housing commitment by 90% because ideologically they see this as a matter for the market. So I certainly won't hear any lecturing from the LNP who say one thing in opposition, when they get in power they cut social housing. It's one of the first things they always do. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers, lovely stuff. Bike bridge.